Well, joining us now in the studio is Vincent J. Russo with another In the Legal Know. And today, Vincent is sharing stories of famous people who died without a will, creating havoc for their families and others. And I think this is a wake-up call for people and also surprises a lot of people. These famous people who you would think have the best lawyers in the world, that they didn't have wills.
Right. So you don't have to be famous to not have a will. Only 32% of Americans have wills, which means 68% don't. That's over 2/3 of all Americans. But when the question is asked, how important is it for you to have a will? 2/3 of Americans say it's very, very important, but they don't have it.
And the number, what, 32?
Only 32% have wills.
Okay, that surprises me too.
So it leaves it to chaos. It leads us to chaos.
Yes.
And so whether you have significant assets or not, everyone should have a will. And you would think that if you're a celebrity or you have significant assets, that you would make sure you do.
Yeah.
And it's shocking who has passed away without a will.
So who are some of the people that you found? Because this is surprising me.
All right, so let's start with Abraham Lincoln, our 16th president, an attorney. And it's just shocking that he didn't have a will.
So wait, quick question. They did have wills back then?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Wills have been around
they
for
date
a
back.
long time.
Okay, so Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Martin Luther King, Jr. did not have a will. You know, one of the greatest civil rights activists in our history, knowledgeable man, did not have a will. And then Howard Hughes, one of the richest people in the world, who was an aerospace engineer, a business magnate, a philanthropist, a pilot. He had the Spruce Goose.
Right.
And he didn't have a will. And so when you don't have a will, you leave it to the state that you reside in to tell the family or interested parties what's going to happen at that point.
Yeah.
And that's when the chaos begins. Now, there are others, so I'll just quickly mention a few because I'm into music. Jimi Hendrix, Bob Marley. Now, Bob Marley died from cancer, so it wasn't like an unexpected passing away. Sonny Bono, who, was in government and a great musician.
He also died suddenly. I'm looking at Martin Luther King, Abraham Lincoln. Sonny Bono died suddenly and maybe didn't think at that, you think you're not going to die, right? So you just don't do what you're supposed to do and have these wills done. Huh? Okay.
Yeah. The other one was Chadwick Boseman.
Oh.
Boseman, who everybody was very saddened and upset with his passing, and it was from cancer. Right.
So he had a little bit of a warning,
window.
And maybe
Yeah. So there's a lot of denial that goes on.
Yeah.
You don't want to face the reality that we're all going to pass at some point. We put it off because we live busy lives. And so let's get into some of the celebrity stories that I'd like to share today. So the first one is Prince Robert Nelson. He passed away when he was 57 years old with an estate of hundreds of millions of dollars, did not have a will. His closest relatives were 6 half-siblings who did not get along with each other. So he died. He lived in Minnesota, and Minnesota law came in, and here are some of the things that happened. The heirs disagreed as to how they were going to divvy up the estate. The IRS came in and said, we think the estate is worth $163 million. The estate said almost like 80 plus million, and it ended up in a whole negotiation, very expensive. What about his unreleased music? Who gets the rights to it? There was a fight over that. It was all out in public scrutiny. And then just recently, in 2024, there's now another lawsuit regarding his estate.
Okay, so...
All right, so not what you want to do.
When you talk about chaos, you mean chaos. It
Yes.
really does, yeah.
All right, let's go to Aretha Franklin.
Yeah. I'm
the
sure.
Queen of Soul, who died at 76 years old. She died without a will in Michigan. But then later it was found that she had two handwritten wills. And Michigan is one of the few states that will accept a handwritten will. And then the question became, which handwritten will should be followed under Michigan law? She had 4 sons. They all disagreed about which will should apply and whether there was a will or not a will. And one of them had special needs, and there were no provisions to take into account that individual had special needs. Creditors came out of the woodwork because that was all in the public and probate proceeding. And so it was another situation of chaos.
And another person who she wasn't in great health at the time. So
Yeah.
again, sort of that denial that you don't make your plans.
Yep.
Okay.
So now we're going to go back to 1973 when Pablo Picasso passes away at 91 years of age. And I want to read what his lawyer said. "There is no will," Ahmed Antebi said. "He never made one because of superstition, a way of avoiding death, one might say." So some people are that way.
Yeah.
They don't have a will because then they're going to die. And it doesn't happen that way in reality, but it's our fear. So he left, are you ready?
Oh, boy.
45,000 pieces of art, 1,885 paintings, 1,228 sculptures. No will, no direction, who gets it? His estate was valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars, over $250 million. It took 6 years to deal with it. He died in France, so it was the intestacy laws of France that applied. They spent over $30 million in handling the administration of the estate.
Wow.
Out the window, $30 million. A lot of that could have been saved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk. I mean, we sort of, hinted at it at the very beginning, but how important is the role of a will in our lives?
Yeah, so it's the quandary of who decides when you don't have a will, and you don't want to be in that situation. You don't want the government telling you who's going to manage your estate and how it's going to be handled. So there are benefits. Let me just run right to the benefits here. When you have a will, you have control over your asset distribution. Who's going to get your assets, in what way, and when. You get to appoint the executor. You appoint guardians for minors if you have a minor. It's an opportunity for charitable contributions. So that's a good thing. You can leave your money to your church. It's just another time where you can reflect when you're doing a will. Do I want to make a charitable contribution? Ultimately, it leads to an efficient estate settlement. And that's going to mean the process is going to be shorter. There are going to be less expenses involved. And the bottom line, it can minimize family disputes.
Yeah, boy.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you're clear, and I always say to my clients who execute wills, share what your legacy is going to be with your family. Let them know how you're leaving your assets. So that way, if there's an issue, let them bring it up while you're alive and you can address it.
Right.
As opposed to leaving it for me, the lawyer, to be the messenger, to sit after someone passes away, to say to child, Johnny, sorry, you're not getting any assets in your parents' estate. Or, and Johnny says, Mom loved me best. How come?
Sorry.
How could this be?
Sorry, Vinny, that's all up to you. You're going to have to do that.
So children, or beneficiaries will have an opportunity to contest what's going on when there's no will. And so having a will is just so critical.
Yeah. Okay, this is such an important subject, and it is so critical that we are going to pick this up tomorrow, right? More on wills tomorrow.
That's right. I will be here tomorrow, and we're going to talk about the all-important question. Do I leave my assets equally to my children, or do I leave it in a different way?
Okay, so stay tuned. Thank you so much.